Hello and welcome, and it is that of the third day of May 2018, Crypto Day, and because of cryptos, in about 2 hours and about 15 minutes or such from the recording of this video, 9:54 a.m., I'll receive 36 ounces of silver. How do I know that time? I don't know what's up with Federal Express. They say they're federal. I don't really want to get much into that, but they always come at like 12:10 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll see how it works for today, but I don't want to really get into that of silver. Rather, I did the 4-minute morning, went through 12 different altcoins, and I thought, you know what, let's go on to Binance and buy up the ones that are there from what I stated, not counting Ethereum, of the 11 rather, and 6 of them were available there, and I bought it, but I want to have 7 altcoins. So I was going to look at their coins and just keep on looking until I could find just one coin on there that I thought had really good potential. And I looked and I looked and I looked at one coin. It was the first one that I seen. BNT, Bancor. This is the daily time frame. Yeah, so it's just leaving the 18 average. I'm like, well, that saves me a lot of time now because I was planning on looking at so many different coins. But I got it set to play 7 different alternate coins at one time. And then currently this is what's being held on there. Cardano. NEM, Bancor as the one of all the other ones that I looked at. Didn't look at the other ones. PivX, List, Qtum, Ethereum Classic. And now the Binance coin. I bought one of these this morning because if you own that, that's where you pay the rake. So I bought one and I've already spent a little over 0.12 rake so far to get out of all of the other positions that I had and to get into these ones. Because I ended up buying 12.8 QTUM. I bought 20.5 Lisk, I bought 48 PivX, and then of course you can see that if you see my video before, I basically talked about how the decimal points. So I'm going to take the hide off and show you what I mean, because now we got all of these point whatever, and they do not have withdrawal. Like you could just delete it. I don't think, but whatever. So let's just take a look at something that I've never heard of and see what it looks like. Now, I've heard of Walton Coin, and I've seen it so many times on that of CoinMarketCap. Let's take a look at WTC. And it has a pretty good setup. It's actually, it's barely broken that level of resistance. Enough where this looks like this is another one ready to go. Yeah, this is pretty darn near good. You might get short-term discounts still if you look at things on, say, something like a 3-hour time frame. Ooh, that's nice. 1 hour. So there's this major level of resistance hit exactly where it's back to now. We can see this red line, which hits the 3 pierces of the 28th, the 29th, and the 30th of last month. And after it resisted the support, the breakout now not only managed to get up to this level, but after resisting it, coming back within this red candle here, has now broken it. So short term, one of the things I look at in chart analyses is if you're playing the breakout, there's really 2 different spots to get the best prices. One is to buy at this top and you're just holding and hoping that this correction works. 2 is hoping you get lucky and it comes back to where it comes from. Now you buy. So it's an interesting situation within that coin. I'm not going to purchase it. I could easily get out of any position that I think is, oh, I think this one's a bit better than another. So unless I see something like majorly fantastic that I have to get in, I'm not going to buy any of the next few coins that I look at. But this is definitely something that I think is worth a look. Again, everything you do is within your own risk, own reward. And what else do we got in here? Funfair. I remember trading that. What was it, 250-ish or something? Way back in the day. Way back in the day is probably like last autumn. And this is the hourly chart. So if it was 250, it's done better than double. Interesting setup on the daily, baby. It's got high volatility. Well, decent. It's up to 1300, maybe standard. But we see how the 18 average rolling over, down, 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 down. This looks ready to go. Again, same scenario of it's broken resistance and now it's came back to where it's came from. We can see like 4 or so hits at around the 540-ish or so level, 550-ish even. Take a look at this on a 3-hour time frame. Yeah, so this is that 3-time hit, 552. It's already pierced down to that number, and it's rallied a little bit up to 561. But definitely something really good. Now, back in the autumn of last year, 250, yeah, I remember this from before. Back in my hit BTC trading days, I swung trade this really well back in the cheaper prices. I don't trade hit BTC much. I've never really been screwed over by any exchange, although there's been delays in deposits and transfers and all the such, but it's all worked for me so far to this point with the exchange. And because people talk about how you just can't leave it in there. Well, let's face it, you can't trade unless you have them in there. And you can't build up your hardware wallets with extra cryptocurrencies and then not buying them, just literally getting them via trade. Oh, I was worth this many Bitcoins, now I'm worth this many, and it's been, say, a year or two, and it's maybe 5 or 10 or 20 times higher. Or whatever, because of the trades. And then you can, okay, let's withdraw some from this exchange and this exchange, and to me, that's part of the game as well. Of course, that hasn't been a recent part of the game with the decline, of course, in Bitcoin and, of course, through the altcoins. But this is like the pattern of the alts. It really is. You go down from like September all the way to the end of November, early December. And then a monstrous run up December into January. And then a consistent decline. And now the reversal amongst the cryptos is showing it. This is generally what the base crypto market is showing. And there's always going to be the laggards and the reverse of the laggards, the one that are early, I guess, however, the early, the later, whatever. And of course, getting in on the early and the laters at the right times can make it very profitable. But anyway, let's move on to the next code. But what will that be? And you know what? I can do a request video if any of these coins on here that you see. Oh, I want to see the MTH. Well, yeah, let's show it. But maybe MDA. I'm not going to show that. But MTH I'm going to say, because I've never heard of it before. Of course, something like IOTA's been network congestion, withdrawal suspended. Okay, I was going to say, how could that be delisted? That just made no sense. MTH, let's take a look. And it really looks like the same code as before. It's got a nice pattern. If you can see some forward momentum, I'm looking like breaking 16. But nice 3 days now, hugging this newly rising 18 average. And it's been newly rising for a while now. Ever since, well, 2+ weeks. You can make a case of a wedge. Downtrend line amongst the last 3 days. Uptrend line, well, I mean, there's just so many of them you can choose from right now. So that's a big reason I think breaking the resistance line on the short term is something that's going to be very important. So I want to take a look at this. I'm guessing the 1 hour now that I think about it, but what do we see in the 3? There's a sideways consolidation more than anything. It's barely been making lower highs over these 3 different peaks. 1600, it's really got to get above. And if you can see it holding and staying above, like say 1563, maybe resisting somewhere around 1600, then you can see a setup looking very good. And just as a gamble, if you call it, and I like the word gamble, and that you don't know what the result's going to be, because that's what gambling is taking a bet, taking a chance, if you will, on a result that's uncertain. Uncertain is defined to me as not having a 0 or 100% likelihood of occurring. And the way I think about gambling is, okay, if I can get something like 10 to, or let's just talk about the Philadelphia 76ers. They're playing tonight. They need to win. But about 2.5 months ago, I come on here mentioning close to 40 to 1 odds, Philadelphia to win the East. Well, things have changed a lot since then, and what a great bet that was. So I'm looking for something that has a much higher chance, because at 40 to 1 odds, I need it to happen more than 2.5% of the time. And I was much higher confident than that. Then I put a nice little wager on such. Same thing in this. If you're 80% confident, 75%, 90% confident long term that a play of whatever nature is going to profit for you at even odds, you're going to take it. Plain and simple. If you're 50% confident a play is going to work for you, where you get 5 to 1 odds on a win compared to that of a loss, you're going to take it. That's, to me, very smart gambling, and very good if you can get those spots, because they're just fantastic to get 5 to 1 payouts on even odds. Now, if we continue further with the MTH, any type of downtrend line has been broken, and it's basically continued to go sideways. So it's about breaking this resistance. If I see it at around 6, see, this is the type of orders that I would like to make. I want to make a buy order. I want it to be at, say, 1601, 1603, somewhere near there. I want to buy an X amount of shares, but I want to do so when someone is asking to sell it at that price, and it's in line to buy. So therefore, if I can see, if there's a situation where, I'm trying to explain this the best way that I can think about it right now, but it's sort of like, as long as certain criteria come up, where the bid price is at least so much. So as long as the bid price is at least, say, 1600, we'll say. As long as there's at least a bid at 1600, and maybe it has to be at least so many Bitcoin above 1560. So many filters I'd want to go through, especially if you're putting serious coin on it. Those are the type of ways I would like to make trading, which is why I've thought how much of a cool exchange I would make if I were to ever do so in the future, which I never plan on doing, but I'm just trying to think of what the perfect exchange would be. And one is to make you so I can customize it to automatically buy an order, but only when it breaks that key level of resistance. And back to the codes, and let's go Sixers. They play tonight as a favorite of about 3.5 points against the Boston Celtics on the road. Boston Celtics without Kyrie Irving for the rest of the season. Well, I figured going into the first round, I did not hedge. I was getting like 3+ to 1 odds for Boston to win the series. I thought about wagering that, but I think they can beat them without Kyrie. What's A and B? Let's take a look at that for the first time. That would be Ambrosis. That's another answer to the what? Single hour time frame. If you're looking for it to come back to where it came from, and I don't know anything beforehand, I still think you could wait till like 8,500. I don't think I'd be buying now. No, I'd even 8,450, but I don't know anything else. Let's go to the daily. How does this look? Ooh, it's been overextending big time. Definitely wouldn't want to be a buyer in this until it can at least have a better correction within the 18 average. But you don't know how long this can continue to grind its way to the upside with decent volatility. Big level of resistance, it's in at like not basically the 10,000 handle. So there's limited upside room. I think getting up to this point is where your sell targets would come into place. But that's the key thing about, you have a point A, which is these December lows. You have point B, which is the multiple time hit highs December through January. And then you have point C, which is this low area between 33 and 31 even. Well, that's 33 to 31 to me looks like a 61.8% correction. Just blindly looking at this. Close enough anyway. So therefore it correctly corrected its move. I can see looking at point B to point C that it's doing well, breaking 61.8% to the upside. So I do feel it's going to make a move up to this 10,000 area. So when you have point A low, point B high, point C higher low correction, and you're moving back to point B, it becomes wild card to me. Wild card as in very much uncertainty. Okay, we're supposed to resist this level, but maybe it will only do that such through time before breaking higher. Because bullishly resisting here and coming back down to like 64-ish or something seems in the cards to make a 61% down move. But if it breaks this resistance, now we're going to be starting to talk about Fibonacci upside from this high to this low. So that's where the indecision comes in. Will this be resistance for any decent pullback? Will we have large amount of gains? Because if we're talking about a leg higher from this 10,000 handle, ooh, that's going to be pretty good. So let's move on to the next one. And we need something as good as Ben Simmons and his dimes, which is another way of saying his passing. He may not be a great three-point shooter. In fact, he's the worst three-point shooter amongst all point guards, and then some. But he never shoots for three, and he's one of the best players at that position, which is supposed to be dominant three-point shooters. Steph Curry can shoot for threes. Kyle Lowry, and of course, Boston had one too, but he's it for the season. Let's move on to bread. I mean, that's how much I know about BRD. I thought it was a bird, but it's a bread. And wow. This is a daily time frame. This market that went from 22,000 down to 5,500, and standard 4x loss. Pretty much standard. I mean, some did more, some did less. This pattern is so easily noticeable. Okay. This is why the 18 average just makes it so easy when I put it in here. So you break through. How many times was this level pierced as resistance? Lots. That's all I need to know is lots. And then not as many, but lots in here. And now it's been grinding a few days higher. It seems ready, poised, that it wouldn't surprise me if it can continue to run higher. Normally, if you tell me something's been up 7 of 8 days in a row, the only reason why I'm going to say it could continue to do so is in a beautiful uptrend. And when market's going to have 7 of 8 days in a row, why can't it have 12 of 13 or 14 of 16 or 14 of 17 in a row many days later? But the pattern for the last 4 days has been like sideways. 1 hour time frame. Exactly. Back to where it's coming from, which of course is here. Barely breaking that level of resistance. It could come back further to where it came from, down towards in here. If I was to search for a buy, I would rather wait to buy here than buy now. I would rather buy on a break of this resistance than buy now. That's basically it. I'm not buying this, but you know what? Some of these codes are really tempting me because a lot of them are looking pretty darn near good. And I might as well go to the bottom of the list just in case you see one that you know. Maybe something like WAN. I'm not going to look at that one because I'm almost done. APPC. App coins. Never heard of it before. Daily time frame. Nice. I like how after this congestion period, when price action corrected that via time, it entered the 18 average here. It extended through the 18 average, got above this level of resistance. And what do I talk about when you break a key level? Don't be surprised to see a decent size move. And this is what I call a decent size move. And now going sideways after this play. Looking pretty good. Again, it's at the time where I could not buy this now. Just like the last chart, because I either want to see this look better bullishly later on, breaking some levels of resistance, or at least if I buy on weakness, I want to see it at least have a move maybe back to where it came from between 64.25 and 67 maybe. This will be it for the video because it's long enough. Yeah, because I'll leave the rest of them open for that amongst requests. I can only get to so many, of course, and it would probably be done. We'll do the nighttime session. Bye-bye.